Have you ever regretted saying something in the heat of the moment, or found yourself speaking when silence would have been far more powerful? In today's world, where social media rewards those who speak first and loudest, where opinions are thrown out before they are fully formed, we've lost touch with an ancient truth. Silence is not just the absence of noise, it is the presence of wisdom. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology confirmed it. Seneca advised, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." And one of life's most valuable lessons is knowing when to stay silent. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, practiced restraint in speech, understanding that unnecessary words lead to unnecessary problems. Epictetus reminded us, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." They knew that silence is not weakness, it is power. It is control over your emotions before they control you. It is the ability to pause before speaking words you might regret. It is the key to influence, respect, and inner peace. Think about the most respected and successful people in history. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of our time, once said, "The ability to keep your mouth shut is a tremendous asset." He listens more than he speaks, choosing his words carefully. Steve Jobs mastered the use of silence in meetings, pausing long enough for others to fill the gap, gaining control, influence, and authority. These leaders, much like the Stoics, understood that true power often lies in what is left unsaid. In this video, we will explore the wisdom of the Stoics and uncover the 8 most powerful moments in life when remaining silent can make you stronger, wiser, and more respected. By the end, you won't just understand the power of silence, you'll know how to wield it as a tool to transform your life. Are you ready to master the art of silence? Let's begin. 1. The power of silence in conflict. When someone provokes you, their goal is often to get a reaction, to push your buttons, to make you lose control, to drag you into a battle of words. The instinct to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, or to strike back is natural, but it rarely serves you. Instead, it gives them exactly what they want: your energy, your attention, and your peace. But what if, instead of reacting, you chose silence? Silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. It shifts the power dynamic, forcing the aggressor to sit with their own words, revealing their intentions for what they truly are. Picture this. You're at work, presenting an idea you've worked hard on, and a colleague dismisses it with a sarcastic remark in front of everyone. The room goes quiet, all eyes on you, waiting to see how you'll respond. Your heart beats faster, the urge to snap back rises, but instead, you pause. You let the silence stretch. You meet their eyes calmly but say nothing. The moment grows uncomfortable, not for you, but for them. Without fuel, their fire dies out. They fidget, they look away, and suddenly, it's their comment, not your reaction, that stands out. You haven't just avoided unnecessary conflict, you've demonstrated strength, control, and wisdom. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks badly of you, do not defend yourself against their accusations. Instead, reply, 'You obviously don't know me well, for you have overlooked my other faults.'" This reminds us that not every insult deserves a response. When we react, we allow others to dictate our emotions. When we stay silent, we keep our power. Think about the last time someone provoked you, maybe a rude driver, a critical family member, or a co-worker trying to undermine you. Did your reaction improve the situation, Or did it make things worse? More often than not, engaging only escalates the tension, while silence dissolves it. Try this the next time you're provoked. Resist the impulse to react immediately. Take a deep breath, count to 5, and ask yourself, will responding change the outcome? If not, let the silence do the work. You'll notice something interesting. Most of the time, the other person becomes uncomfortable, backtracks, or exposes their own insecurity. And if a response is necessary, you'll be able to deliver it from a place of control, not emotion. Choosing silence doesn't mean allowing others to walk over you. It means knowing which battles are worth your energy and which ones are simply noise. It means valuing your inner peace over the temporary satisfaction of a comeback. It means refusing to let someone else's words dictate your state of mind. So, the next time someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remember, your silence is stronger than their provocation. If you're ready to master this skill, drop a comment below. I choose peace over conflict. Let's rise above the noise and protect our inner calm. 2. Mastering silence in anger. Anger is like a fire. It flares up quickly, demanding to be released. Your heart races, your mind sharpens into a weapon, and before you know it, you're ready to say something sharp, something that will hit where it hurts. But the moment you let anger control your words, you give away your power. What if, instead of reacting, you paused? What if you let silence work in your favor? Abraham Lincoln understood this well. He had a habit of writing hot letters filled with all his frustration, but he never sent them. Instead, he let them sit, and by the time he reread them, he realized silence was often the better choice. Now think about your own life. A heated argument with a friend, a critical boss who pushes your buttons, or a stranger online provoking you. In that moment, do you fire back, or do you take control? Marcus Aurelius once said, "How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it?" The sting of anger fades, but the damage it leaves behind can last forever. Broken relationships, lost respect, and words you wish you could take back. Consider a modern example. A CEO known for his calm presence sits in a meeting where an executive harshly criticizes his strategy. Everyone waits for his response. Instead of snapping back, he leans back in his chair, stays silent, and observes. The silence stretches, and suddenly the weight of the words shifts back to the critic. Without a fight, the room sees who truly holds control. This is the power of silence. It creates space, allows emotions to settle, and forces others to sit with their own words. Science confirms what the Stoics knew. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, needs about 6 seconds to calm after anger is triggered. If you can hold back for even that long, you stop anger from hijacking your mind. And what happens when you don't react? The person provoking you is left with nothing to escalate. They expect rage, but they get composure. They want to control you, but they are left powerless. Try this. The next time anger rises, give yourself 10 seconds before responding. Breathe. Ask yourself, will these words help or hurt? More often than not, the answer is clear. And here's a challenge. For 1 week, track every time you wanted to react in anger, but chose silence instead. See how it shifts your interactions, how much more in control you feel, how others start respecting your presence. If you're ready to master the power of silence, drop a comment below. I will master my silence. Let's commit to this together. Prove that true strength isn't in loud words, but in the ability to hold them back. 3. Speak less, understand more. We've all been there, in a conversation where the pressure to contribute is high, where staying silent feels like falling behind. Maybe it's a debate with friends, a discussion at work, or an argument online. You think you know enough to speak, so you do. But then, a new perspective emerges. A fact you hadn't considered surfaces, and suddenly, you realize you spoke too soon. Your words, instead of adding value, now feel misplaced. Socrates, one of history's greatest thinkers, once said, "I know that, I know nothing." This wasn't self-deprecation, it was wisdom. True intelligence isn't about how quickly you can speak, it's about how well you can listen, absorb, and understand before you do. But in a world that rewards speed over thoughtfulness, where social media amplifies opinions before understanding, silence is often mistaken for ignorance. How often do we fill the air with words, fearing that staying quiet will make us look uninformed? Yet, the wisest among us do the opposite. They pause, they observe, and they speak only when their words carry weight. Think of a moment in your life when you spoke before fully understanding. Maybe you offered advice without knowing the full situation, or judged a person based on a single interaction, only to realize later how little you actually knew. Would silence have served you better? Let's take a simple modern example. You're in a work meeting, and your boss presents a complex problem. You don't fully grasp the details, but you feel the need to contribute, so you suggest a solution. Then, a colleague who stayed silent speaks up, not with an answer, but with a thoughtful question that exposes layers of the issue you completely missed. Their silence wasn't hesitation, it was strategy. Their words carried more weight, not because they spoke first, but because they spoke last, after truly understanding. Epictetus once said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." This is the principle that separates those who make noise from those who make an impact. So how do we apply this in daily life? Start with the listen first rule. The next time you feel the urge to respond quickly, hold back. Take an extra few seconds to absorb what's being said. Ask yourself, do I fully understand, or am I just reacting? If doubt lingers, choose silence, not as avoidance, but as strength. The most respected leaders, thinkers, and innovators don't rush to speak. They let their silence build authority, and when they do speak, their words are worth listening to. Try this for the next 24 hours. Only speak when you're certain you understand. Let silence be your tool for deeper thinking, stronger presence, and wiser communication. If this resonates with you, comment below. I will listen first. Let's commit to mastering the art of thoughtful speech, because in the end, the loudest voices fade, but the words of the wise endure. 4. Silence over foolishness. We all encounter people who argue not to seek truth but to dominate, to prove themselves right, or simply to provoke a reaction. The temptation to correct them is strong, to inject reason into their flawed logic, to set the record straight. But here's what the Stoics understood. Arguing with a fool does not make you wise, it only makes you part of the foolishness. Marcus Aurelius, who spent his life dealing with stubborn senators and critics, said, "The best answer to anger is silence. Engaging with those who refuse to listen is like wrestling in the mud. Even if you win, you still end up dirty." Think about a time when you tried to reason with someone who was clearly not interested in understanding. Did it change their mind, or did it only leave you frustrated? The more you argue, the more you feed their ego, their need for conflict, their illusion of superiority. Picture this. You're at a family gathering, and an uncle who thinks he knows everything starts lecturing on a subject he barely understands. He dismisses opposing views, makes sweeping generalizations, and refuses to consider other perspectives. You feel the urge to correct him, to expose the flaws in his reasoning, but deep down, you know the truth. Nothing you say will make a difference. He isn't seeking knowledge, he's seeking validation. The moment you engage, you give him exactly what he wants: an argument, an opportunity to dig in his heels and defend his ignorance. But if you stay silent, something interesting happens. Without opposition, his words lose momentum. Without resistance, his argument stands alone, exposed for what it is. Your silence does what no counter-argument ever could. It makes his foolishness undeniable. This applies in the workplace too. Imagine a colleague making a completely false claim about a project you've worked hard on. Everyone turns to you, expecting a rebuttal. You could engage, prove them wrong, and win the argument. But at what cost? They will still believe what they want. And now you've wasted time and energy on a pointless conflict. Instead, you say nothing. You let the weight of their own ignorance become evident. And in doing so, you maintain control over the conversation, over your emotions, over your peace of mind. Seneca once said, "What difference does it make how much a man knows if he is wrong about what he knows?" The lesson is clear. Some people aren't looking for truth, and your words won't change that. So, here's a challenge. The next time you find yourself in a conversation with someone who isn't interested in listening, don't argue. Say nothing. Watch how their words lose power without resistance. Let their ignorance speak for itself while you remain composed, unbothered, in control. And take it one step further. Instead of trying to correct fools, lead by example. Show wisdom through action, not empty debates. If this resonates with you, comment below. I choose silence over foolishness. Let's commit to rising above pointless arguments, saving our energy for things that truly matter. Because in the end, you don't need to silence a fool. Their own words will do it for you. 5. The power of silent listening. Not every silence is an act of restraint. Sometimes it is an act of generosity. We often think that helping others means offering advice, fixing problems, or saying the right words. But what if the greatest gift you could give someone is not advice, but silence? Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Maybe work was exhausting, a relationship was falling apart, or life just felt too heavy. You turned to someone, hoping to let it out, but before you could even finish, they interrupted. "You're overthinking it. Just do this instead. Look on the bright side." And suddenly, the conversation wasn't about you anymore. It was about them, their opinions, their need to fix things. Did it help, or did it leave you feeling unheard? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." True wisdom isn't in rushing to respond. It's in learning to truly listen. Now, imagine a different scenario. You meet an old friend for coffee, and the moment they sit down, you can see the weight on their shoulders. They start talking about their struggles, work stress, personal doubts, the feeling of being stuck. Your instinct is to step in, offer solutions, try to ease their burden. But instead, you do something different. You stay silent, you nod, you keep eye contact, you let them speak, uninterrupted. And then, Something remarkable happens. As they continue talking, they begin to hear themselves. I guess what I really need to do is, now that I say it out loud, I can see that, without you saying a single word, they start finding their own clarity. This is the power of silence. It gives people the space to process their own emotions, to untangle their thoughts, to feel truly heard. Abraham Lincoln understood this well. During the Civil War, his advisors and soldiers would come to him, venting their frustrations, their doubts, their fears. He rarely interrupted. He listened, because he knew that people don't always need answers. Sometimes they just need to know they are not alone in their struggle. In a world where everyone is eager to speak, few take the time to truly listen. And that is why mastering the art of silent listening is so powerful. So here's a challenge. The next time someone vents to you, resist the urge to jump in with advice. Instead, pause. Ask yourself, do they need a solution, or do they just need to be heard? More often than not, the answer is silence. A nod, a compassionate look, or a simple "I hear you" can mean more than any long-winded response. If this resonates with you, drop a comment below. I will listen more than I speak. Let's commit to becoming the kind of person others can trust, not because we always have the right words, but because we know when words aren't needed. 6. The wisdom of knowing less. There is power in staying silent when you don't fully understand something, not as an act of hesitation, but as an act of wisdom. Yet, so often, people speak with complete confidence about things they barely grasp, mistaking words for knowledge. Think about a time when you found yourself in a conversation about a topic you only knew on the surface. Maybe it was a debate on politics, an investment trend, or a scientific breakthrough. You shared your opinion only to realize too late that you were out of your depth. Then, someone with true expertise joined in, exposing the gaps in your understanding. At that moment, what felt like confidence turned into discomfort, and your words, instead of adding value, only revealed what you didn't know. This happens because of ego, the need to appear knowledgeable, to be seen as competent, to avoid seeming uninformed. But here's the irony. The wisest people don't rush to prove themselves. They embrace silence when they lack knowledge, understanding that true intelligence is about seeking truth, not about pretending to have all the answers. Marcus Aurelius put it best: "If anyone can prove me wrong, I will gladly change. It is the truth I seek, not my own ego." This lesson extends far beyond casual conversations. Look at great leaders, investors, and thinkers. Warren Buffett, one of the most respected investors in the world, follows a simple rule: only speak when you have something truly valuable to say. He listens far more than he talks, observing, analyzing, and choosing his words carefully. And when he finally speaks, people listen, not because he speaks often, but because he speaks with understanding. The same applies in business, relationships, and leadership. A CEO who makes a decision without full knowledge risks the company. A doctor who prescribes treatment without a complete diagnosis risks lives. A politician who speaks without understanding creates false hope and broken trust. Speaking without knowledge is not just embarrassing, it has real consequences. So ask yourself, how many times have you spoken just to be part of the conversation? How often have you contributed not because you had something meaningful to say, but because you feared silence would make you look uninformed? But what if silence wasn't a sign of ignorance, but a sign of wisdom. Here's a challenge. For the next 48 hours before you speak, pause and ask yourself, do I fully understand this, or am I just filling the silence? If the answer isn't absolute clarity, hold back. Choose to listen instead. Observe how often people speak just to be heard, how much empty conversation takes place, and how silence can give you deeper insights. Keep track of the moments when you consciously resist the urge to speak and notice how it changes your understanding. You'll start to realize that silence is not about saying less, it's about thinking more. By the end of this challenge, you'll see that when you finally do speak, your words will carry more weight, your presence will command more respect, and your conversations will become more meaningful. If this resonates with you, comment below. I choose wisdom over unnecessary speech. Let's commit to speaking only when we truly have something to say, because in the end, a fool speaks to impress, but the wise speak only to add value. 7. Let success speak for itself. Success is a moment of triumph, a reward for your dedication, discipline, and persistence. The instinct to announce it to the world is natural. After all, recognition feels good, and sharing achievements brings validation. But the greatest successes don't need to be broadcasted. They carry their own weight. When you achieve something, staying silent allows your work to speak for itself. It shows humility, discipline, and an understanding that success is just a milestone, not the final destination. Too often, people celebrate too loudly, only to attract unnecessary attention, envy, or expectations that distract them from their path. Lao Tzu said it best, "Those who know do not speak, those who speak do not know." This doesn't mean you should never acknowledge your achievements, but it does mean that true success is felt, not flaunted. Think about a time when you shared an achievement too soon. Did it bring you the satisfaction you expected, or did it invite doubt, criticism, or even unwanted competition? Now consider a time when you quietly embraced success, keeping it to yourself or sharing it only with those who truly mattered. That kind of victory feels different, purer, undisturbed by outside noise. Picture this. You work tirelessly for a promotion, and when you finally get it, instead of announcing it immediately, you stay focused. You continue performing with the same effort, the same humility. Over time, people notice, not because you told them, but because your results speak for themselves. This quiet confidence is far more powerful than any announcement. Warren Buffett follows a simple rule: only speak when you have something truly valuable to say. He understands that silence preserves power, while excessive words can diminish it. In a world that rewards constant self-promotion, mastering silence is a sign of true confidence. It protects you from distractions and unnecessary comparisons, allowing you to focus on what actually matters, the next step. Success is not about proving yourself to others, it's about continuous growth. So here's a challenge. The next time you achieve something significant, resist the urge to announce it right away. Reflect on what it truly means to you. Share it only with those who genuinely supported you. Notice how this quiet celebration feels compared to public recognition. You might find that success is even sweeter when it remains undisturbed. If this resonates with you, comment below. I will let my success speak for itself. Let's commit to celebrating with humility, staying focused on growth, and letting our actions, not our words, define us. Because in the end, true success doesn't need an announcement. It is recognized in silence. Silence is not weakness, but a manifestation of intelligence, discipline, and control. In a world full of noise, where people rush to speak to gain attention, those who master the art of silence shine in their own way. They don't need to argue or prove themselves with words, because their actions and composure speak volumes. Silence helps you control your emotions and avoid regretful words spoken in anger. It allows you to listen more, understand deeper, and make wiser decisions. Silence not only shields you from unnecessary conflicts, but also protects your energy and inner peace. Great figures like Marcus Aurelius, Abraham Lincoln, and Warren Buffett have proven that silence is not just a skill but a strategic advantage. When you know when to speak and when to remain silent, you not only become wiser but also earn the respect of those around you. Remember, not every battle requires words. Sometimes, silence is the most powerful response. Let your actions speak louder than words. Let your calmness become your strength, and let your silence symbolize confidence and wisdom. When will you choose silence? Start today, because sometimes the most powerful statements are the ones left unsaid.